Biz is probably shaking in his boots over there. You might gas the fucking radio color guy. We need a new culture on the radio.
Well, he's already gassed us both when we were in St. Louis. We were talking about that before the interview started. We both went there on a PTO, and now you're deferring to Doug.
I wanted to keep you. I had a 4-year plan for you. I thought, okay, we can rebuild him.
Yeah.
Bury him going. I absolutely want it. And Doug said, not a chance. He's got it.
I really sold you on getting body slammed the year before by Revo through across the center ice. But what's that?
Most guys got body slammed by Revo, you know?
Yeah, that's true. He got my 4-year plan, though. Just going back to that press conference, one of the things you mentioned is you're going to be using a type of hybrid between, just like the old school mentality of eye tests and also analytics. For a guy who's been very stubborn on analytics, still doesn't really somewhat understand them, is how are they used throughout an organization, and how much weight do they have at the table for, let's say, a guy in your position?
Well, Biz, I'm kind of like you. We're not like Whitney, who went to BU in those fancy schools. So I would,
like your son.
Yeah, like my son. Yeah. But the analytics. It was interesting because I heard so much about them, and I wanted to get into them when they first came out. And then I got my chance at understanding them, and really, to me, analytics are just. It's like goals and assists. You can understand it. It's no different. It's just another column. And there's a lot of things that are in analytics that don't make any sense and they don't have any value. You have to know what to measure. But I think there's a good formula when you use analytics to ask questions. Like, I'll give you an example. You're at your midterm meetings and you get your analytical people in there and your scouts are all lined up and you formulated this list from 1 to 100 about the players. And your analytical guys go, no, this guy's not right, blah, blah, blah. This guy's in the wrong order. It asks a question to the scouts. Now they go back into the area and they look through the analytical eyes to see if there's any truth through it. Analytics are really good at asking questions. And if you use them in that way, they're really effective. But there's so many different sources of information about background research you do through the trainers and the billets and all that stuff. You have to have that along with the analytics, along with the eye test, and then meeting the player and all those little things. It all plays into factor. And I believe when you just use the analytics, you get vanilla. That's what you get. You get a vanilla team because they don't see – there's more in hockey. It's the dressing room. It's the character. It's the one guy rubbing on the next guy in an irritating way that forces that guy to be better. I mean, there's stuff that analytics just they can't predict.
I think baseball, it makes so much more sense. You can go all analytics. You really can. I mean, you can talk about locker rooms, but it's one-on-one. It's different. Hockey is such a different game in a sense that, like – players' heart and players' attitude and locker room awareness just matter so much.
Yeah, it's a moving game. It's a different animal. But I do think that there's some interesting stuff coming in that you guys will be talking about, the speed factor, when they can really measure the speed factor, accuracy, the sprints and the speed, the entire speed of the team. I think it's going to add a different element to hockey. Even when they record, the release of the slap shot or the snapshot, all that stuff, it's going to add more interest in the game. It's going to give you more understanding of the game. So I'm all for it. I love that.
So we were ahead of the curve on our New Amsterdam commercial, Whit, with our radar shot there.
Time for harder shot.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet, guys.
Yeah, it's on every day. I was just going to hop in there. Just you're known as a very good talent evaluator, and going back to analytics, can you carry the same weight as you just mentioned, like based on junior and college, or is it kind of a bit of a lost shuffle at that point? And is it even valued less at those levels coming and considering who you're going to draft?
Well, it's getting to the point where let's say as a scout, you're in an area, like say you cover the Quebec League and you went to one game, the analytics will slide across your phone and it'll tell you how much puck possession time, what effect he had on the game, all the different things. So instead of just going to the scoreboard and saying, oh, he had 2 assists, you can really have a better understanding of how the player played in that game. And it's just advanced statistics, but it's anybody can read them. They're not hard. It's getting people to buy into reading them. So in the junior, yes, it's becoming a factor. It asks questions. It gives you I think a better way to be more accurate in the draft. So I think every team will be using them, to some degree.
Bill, if you had to put a percentage on it, how much should analytics factor in personnel decisions, or does it depend a lot on the player?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you're doing comparison of, let's say, hey, who this free agent we want to add, hey, what do you want? Do you want somebody that's going to hunt a puck? So you put it up on the screen. Hey, do you want someone that's going to win faceoffs? Or if you're third or fourth line these days in the NHL, you got to be able to penalty kill. So how good are you at? How many shots do you block? Though it's all good information. And then you go back to your scout and say, does this match the eye test? Then you go back to your scout. Does he have character? Will he fit in our locker room? You're using it as, but I don't know if there's a percentage, but you want to get a good feeling and you want to make sure you're right on your decision making, and hopefully it shows up that the analytics agree with you.
So before, and Biz mentioned you are known for being able to evaluate talent at a high level, and now as a GM, you really need to trust your director of scouting and amateur scouting, because you can't go to every tournament. You can't be at all these things you were at before. So how does it, you basically have to really trust someone and then also know I'm not going to be able to have my eyes on these guys as much as I was before.
Yeah, and you don't want an overbearing GM that's sees a player once and says, "Oh, this is our guy." You just know enough to be dangerous as a GM, and you can make a lot of mistakes. What you want is you want hockey people that are grinding it out, and luckily for the Coyotes, we were able to find two of the best that were sitting there. Daryl Plandowski, who built the Tampa Bay Lightning and a Stanley Cup team, has joined us. He's going to be our new head scout, and then Ryan Jankowski is also going to join us. So we have two elite guys that are basically traveling the world together as a tag team, looking for players. So right away, those are the two first guys that we added into our organization. It was a huge find for us.
I know you already touched on it, the Oliver Ekman-Larsson situation. That was one of the sticky ones you found yourself in as soon as coming in. And it seemed like a case of where if we're not going to get a solid return for this guy, this is not just an asset you give away.
Yeah, I mean, he plays 23 minutes a night. He's our captain. I mean, he's a great player. So I kind of inherited that situation. I think my first text was not congratulations. It was from his agent. Hey, can we talk? Like not even, hey, Army, great job. Hey, hey, are you getting a nice house? Or, did you get a good deal? It's like, hey, you know what? We need to talk. And he didn't put his name down there. And I'm like, who is this? So anyways, I mean, yeah, that's how I got welcomed into the business. But, I had one conversation with OEL and we had a good conversation. I just said, let this die down and let it play out. I'll reach back out to you and we'll go from there and try to form a relationship on, maybe a new platform for us where this is all kind of behind us.